family? Welcome to CWC Daily for April 18, 2025. We've got a fun show for you guys tonight. It is WrestleMania weekend, and this is your last regular episode of CWCD for the week, but that's not the end of your WrestleMania week with us. Tomorrow, we will do a post-SmackDown show to give our final thoughts on WrestleMania and give our quick reactions to the WrestleMania stage if they show it. That'll come to you about 10 p.m. Central Time. Then you will get two live post shows Saturday and Sunday immediately after each day of WrestleMania. So if 9 hours of WrestleMania each day isn't enough, you could squeeze one more hour in with us. But tonight, the Street Profits show maturity. CM Punk wants Chapel Roan in WWE, and the Becky Lynch saga continues. I'm your host, the Notorious D, rolling solo tonight. Lauren is gearing up for the big weekend of content, so you're stuck with just me. You know the drill. One big topic, some Discord-fueled chaos, and all the headlines that actually matter. Feeling my energy? Then show some love. Like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Pull up in the Casual Wrestling Discord. No gatekeeping, no fluff, just raw, unfiltered wrestling talk. If you have a hot take, drop it in the comments, slide into the Discord, or shoot us an email at questions@casualwrestling.com. Today's show is brought to you by the Casual Wrestling merch store. Fresh heat is out in the store right now. But first, I figured since it's just us hanging out tonight, we could do a little tier maker. I think this is the last official kind of CWC episode before we get into the WrestleMania heavy content. So I figured it might be fun to do a tier maker of the matches that I'm most excited for heading into WrestleMania, and then you guys can do the same thing and either post them in the comments of this video or post them in the Discord so we can kind of compare notes and see who's excited for what match. So I have a tier maker pulled up here on my second screen, and we can kind of talk ourselves through this thing. Let's start with the categories that we will be ranking it, and it is goated matches. Those are the matches that, like, there's zero chance I could miss. There's matches that I'm excited for. I have a level of excitement, but I'm not, it's not the end of the world. There's meh, and meh just means it's on the card. I'm here for it, but I could live without it. There's who cares, and there's bathroom break. Now, I will tell you, just coming into this situation, my excitement level for WrestleMania is at about a 9.9. I don't know what it is because I don't necessarily think the build is as good as previous years, but there's just something about, the kind of the feelings have started to hit. There are a lot of matches that are very Notorious D kind of, bangers. So I think I'm coming into this very positive minded. So I don't know if we see anything hit that yellow or that green bathroom break. I think we're probably going to stay above the meh, but we'll see. We'll see. Let's roll it out here. Starting with the War Raiders. The War Raiders and the New Day. I said we're not going to go below meh. I think we're going to start with meh. And this one is just because it feels like this was forced onto the card when there's other matches that may have been more representative of tag team wrestling in WWE. More importantly, the Street Profits, who we'll talk about a little later in the show. I don't know that this was my first choice for who I would want in a tag team match at WrestleMania. No disrespect to the War Raiders, but I haven't connected with them in a way that makes me go WrestleMania for those guys. So to me, this is maybe one of the two matches that I'm least excited about heading into WrestleMania. So the next one we have here is going to be Logan Paul versus AJ Styles. And I'm going to drop this one in. I'm excited. I may be one of the few people who are excited for Logan Paul on a week-to-week basis. I think a lot of casual fans are. I know the IWC loves to hate Logan Paul. I do wish he would commit just a little bit more. I wish he would commit and give us maybe 3-month runs. he kind of shows up and disappears as he likes. I understand he's got other things going on, but if he really committed, I do believe that there is, it's an overused phrase, but I think he has world champion potential. I was one of the first people who called Logan Paul being the United States champion before he won that. There was a lot of people who thought that was a crazy prediction. I am one of the people who still believe at some point in time, if he commits to this, he will be holding the WWE championship. AJ Styles, he doesn't give bad matches. Logan Paul is going to do something insane. I believe this match, after seeing the stage, just the preliminary kind of design and setup, that second story, I get the feeling someone's going to do something off the top of that. Logan seems like that guy. I don't know if he's jumping off of it. I don't know if he's entering through the top. It just feels like to me Logan Paul's that guy. It's going to be a spectacle. Logan's going to put on a show. So I'm definitely excited for this matchup. We have Jade Cargill versus Naomi. To me, this one goes into the excited pile. And I've seen a lot of people try to hate on this match, but I have absolutely loved the resurgence of Naomi. I think the back and forth, if you follow the social media, the back and forth has been the best part of this match. Unfortunately, I don't know how WWE, they need to do a better job of highlighting that on the weekly television show. Some of it has gotten a little maybe above PG, but it has built to these are two wrestlers. I've liked Jade Cargill. I've always liked Naomi, but I've always felt like there was something missing. I feel like with this new heel run and Naomi, she has stepped it up to another level. I actually want Naomi to win this match, which I don't think is even possible. But I am one of the people who is genuinely excited for this match. So next we have the Fatal 4-Way with Finn Balor, Braun Breaker, Penta El Zero, and who did I leave out? Dominic Mysterio, maybe. That's a meh for me. That's one I thought I was going to be way more excited about. I just don't think they've sold me. This feels thrown together. I know what the intentions are. I think I got a pretty good thumb on the pulse of this being the Judgment Day breakup match, even though I feel like I say that every premium live event. I feel like every premium live event, I go, this is the match that's going to set up the Judgment Day breakup. I really do feel like, my prediction was Dominic Mysterio. I do feel like Dominic Mysterio is going to win the title. I think that Braun Breaker is graduating to bigger things. I think this will be a fun match. Don't get me wrong, but it's not one. It never. Early on, I thought this could have been an exciting match, but it never really peaked for me as far as the build went. So this is a meh for me, which is average, right? It's an average excitement about this match. Next up, we have Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre. This is another meh. I think it's going to be a great match. Don't get me wrong. I think it's going to be another great match, but I just, once again, this feels like the castaways. Drew McIntyre deserves better than this match. Drew McIntyre basically carried us through the summer with CM Punk, and to get to WrestleMania, and this is what it is. There's no real stakes on the line. I get that it got a stipulation, a street fight, which to me devalues what this match could be with two guys like Drew McIntyre and Damian Priest. Sure, they're going to beat the hell out of each other. They're going to beat the life out of each other with every weapon they can find. But to me, this just doesn't pique my interest enough for me to really scream I'm excited about it, if that makes sense. The next match we have here is El Grande Americana versus Rey Mysterio. Throw that into the goated category. It was a little swerve there. I think I swerved myself. This was goated for me. The El Grande Americano character has been absolutely fantastic. And for me to put a Rey Mysterio match, I've never had anything against Rey Mysterio. I've just never found him particularly that exciting to watch. But this, they have figured out a way to make me excited about a match. I've seen every speculation from the fact that it didn't have to be mask versus mask, that El Grande is getting his mask ripped off. I am still of the belief that because this isn't mask versus mask, that El Grande is winning this match. And this will lead to something further down the road where he gets demasked. But at this point, I don't know that I rip this gimmick off of, if we don't even know if it's Chad Gable, but let's assume it's Chad Gable. I don't think I rip this gimmick off of Chad Gable because I think it grew legs where they didn't know it was going to grow legs. I think the character has become so dislikable but likable that it's one of those things that you might go, let's stick with this a little bit. The fact that they're selling an El Grande Americano mask in the WWE shop tends to lead me to believe we're not done with this character. Now, also, I threw out the idea the other day in the Discord, what if we get towards the end of this match, El Grande rolls out of the ring, rolls under the ring, out rolls El Grande from maybe the other side or back out, and it's clearly someone different, and that's the mask that gets pulled off. And we see kind of a confusion from Rey Mysterio. I'm not completely outside of the idea of Kurt Angle being demasked in this match. I don't think demasked is a word. Unmasked is the word I'm looking for. I think that it would be fun if Kurt Angle rolled out from the bottom of that ring and got the mask pulled off of him, and we found out that Kurt Angle was El Grande Americano and that Chad Gable was telling the truth the whole time. I think that could be funny. So this is goated for me. This is top level excitement for Notorious D. The next one we have here, I got to look a little closer. I can't tell what this is. This is the tag team match. This is the Liv. This is meh. This is meh only. I like Liv Morgan. I like Raquel Rodriguez. I pick on Lyra Valkyria all the time, but I think she's a serviceable wrestler. I think she actually just has to kind of find her way a little bit. And Bayley is Bayley. Bayley's always going to give you a good match. Everything about this is good except for the fact that it was thrown together, doesn't make a lot of sense, and we can be pretty assured who's winning this match, right? They're not going to take the tag team titles off of Liv and Raquel at WrestleMania. So to me, this is the one that had the potential. I don't want to do it because of how excited. I'm going to do it. Who cares? Who cares about this match? Honestly, who cares? Because I know the winner. I ultimately, it's all thrown together. It feels like another match that was kind of shoved into the card. I'm going to go who cares. I didn't want to drop below a meh, but I think this is who cares for me. Next up, we have Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, and Io Sky. I don't care what anybody says. This could piss off the entire world. This match is goated to me. I love everything about this match. I have enjoyed the build to this match. I was one of the early adopters who were screaming this should have just been Rhea versus Bianca, but I think the addition of Io has been fun. It has been entertaining. She has been kind of bullied throughout the build up to this match. And I think it adds certain dynamics that are going to be interesting moving forward. It adds the dynamic that Bianca could pin Io, which kind of saves the Bianca and Rhea feud for later down the road. It does add the intriguing story element of if Io pins Rhea, does that mean Bianca Belair lost at WrestleMania? Or do they start telling the story that Bianca's never been pinned at WrestleMania? I think there's so many interesting kind of angles they could take. And while I get this isn't everybody's cup of tea, for me, this is one that is actually goated. Next up, we have Randy Orton's surprise match. I'm excited. I think this probably would have been meh, to be honest, because I was so excited. Kevin Owens and Randy Orton would have been goated because KO's my guy. I was so excited for that. It sucks that KO's not at WrestleMania. I probably would have moved this to meh because really whoever Randy Orton wrestles, they're going to take the L, even if it was Nick Aldis, even if it was Solo Sikoa. But now with the reports The reports floating around that the mystery opponent, that this is going to be a last minute thing, looks like it could be Rusev, only for the simple fact that I pulled that prediction straight out of my ass. The other day when I made my WrestleMania predictions, I said Rusev would be Randy Orton's opponent, only because I pulled that out of my ass. I am now excited for this match for the simple fact that I could gloat about that if that's correct. Next up, we have LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. This is a meh, and I hate it because I love both of these guys, but this is another one of the matches where it feels to me, there's a part of me that believes Triple H had all of these plans 6 months ago, and he had WrestleMania laid out on a table, and he loved the way it looked. And as we got closer to WrestleMania and he started going, we're going to have 16 matches or we're going to have 17 matches. No, I'm going to trim this thing down to 14 matches. This feels like there were casualties. And I think Solo Sikoa versus Jacob Fatu was one of those casualties that I actually would have been excited for that match. LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu kind of feels like a been there, done that situation. LA Knight seems to keep getting involved with different versions of the bloodline. The way this came to be more of a story about Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman, which ultimately is probably going to lead to Solo getting involved in this match. Braun Strowman helping out LA Knight. They've kind of shown them buddy. I don't think I'm excited for this. Like, if this all plays out the way I have it played out, kind of on the script I've written, I'm not excited for kind of the genericness of this match. There could have been so much more for LA Knight. There could have been so much more at WrestleMania for Jacob Fatu. I feel like placing them together was kind of a last minute, we got to get both these guys on the card, and that feels like what they did. We got Jey Uso versus Gunther. I'm excited. No matter what, I'm excited. I think Gunther has stepped it up the last couple of weeks. He has raised what we've graduated from the snooze general to the swag general. I'm actually now pulling for Gunther to win this match. Jey Uso still leaves a little bit to be desired, but there's no denying that he has some kind of spell on the WWE universe, on casual fans, on IWC. I know there's a subsection that's bitching about his wrestling talent, but I don't listen to them. If you go to a WWE event and you use your eyes and your fucking ears, you can see how over Jey Uso is with the crowd. So this is one of those matches where the outcome is intriguing either way to me. If Jey Uso wins, cool. We start the Jey Uso experiment as a world champion, something that I don't know we thought we'd be talking about 6 months ago, a year ago. Jey Uso is world champion. I mean, I've taken a lot of shit from Milwaukee Mike. You have a video out there that lives on the casual wrestling TikTok where you said that Jey Uso will never hold singles gold. I've taken so much shit for that video because I agreed with you, but I did agree at the time. So I think it'll be interesting to see what that means going forward, how that experiment plays out. But there's also the flip side of this, that if Triple H wanted to hit that nuclear red button and have Jey Uso lose the match, Gunther could be the biggest heel in all of wrestling. Gunther could be the most hated man in the United States. It could be a catastrophe as far as like the celebration that happens in that building, but the ramifications moving forward would be absolutely insane. That's got me excited. I'm excited for that match. Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. It's goated for me, guys. I know, once again, a lot of people are down on this match. I never got down on this. I enjoyed this from the very beginning. I didn't care. I kind of always assumed this was going to be a story about Charlotte Flair constantly being in control and Tiffany Stratton having to overcome every impossible odd. Then it got a little bit chippy, got a little bit personal, which got fun. I'm not going to lie. It's a shit show. It was unprofessional, but as a wrestling fan, taking off any kind of like professional hat, that's fun. That's entertainment. That's reality TV. So I've enjoyed this build-up. I still think Charlotte wins. Even after all the bullshit, I think Triple H sticks to the plan. I think this is a little bit of what Triple H has talked about when he talks about we're not going to listen to the IWC anymore. I think that there is this tendency to overreact because Charlotte fucked up. Charlotte stepped out of her lane, but I don't think you change the overall goal here. And the overall goal is let's get Charlotte the title. Let's make her just a absolutely despised heel. Let's keep building Tiffany Stratton as a babyface, and then let's have them meet up down the road, be it SummerSlam, be it WrestleMania next year. But let's do the Cody Rhodes formula works, right? Taking a year to build somebody up to finish a story. We've seen it now with Jey Uso. We've seen it with Cody Rhodes. I think Tiffany Stratton is the next person who's being inserted into that formula. And so I'm excited. I'm goated for this because if this goes the way I think it does, I think we'll all be happy after WrestleMania with the outcome that we get from this. I could eat those words easily. Then we've got the triple threat. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins. I was never in the camp of these are just three names thrown together. I've seen people complain over and over and over again saying there's no history, there's no story here. And you're not paying attention if you haven't seen this story. There has been a story that I don't even think WWE planned for. If you go back to the AEW days with CM Punk, where him and Roman Reigns jabbed at each other with the needle mover comments and things like that. We know there's been history between Seth Rollins and CM Punk. These dudes don't like each other. And we know that history exists between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. So I'm not sure where this conversation that these are just three guys thrown into a match together has come from. I think the addition of Paul Heyman being the wild card in this match has absolutely elevated it to another level. You have all of these theories running around. You have theories now that have jumped out. I'm coined it the Wavy D theory, which is they slipped up and said Roman's in his 11th main event, which means he would have to be in 2 main events this year. I tend to think that was a slip up, but a lot of things aren't ever subliminal. You have people like me who believe somehow Seth Rollins will have involvement in the Cena and Cody Rhodes match. So there's so many little implications that could happen from this match. I also think it's incredibly insane that in the year 2025, there is a high chance that CM Punk wins this match, which is literally when Seth Rollins said for the soul of the company, these are the three guys. These are the three faces of the company. And so for CM Punk to ultimately be the guy who comes out on top, it's what a lot of people are predicting. I think that would be insane. So last here, I have Cody Rhodes and John Cena. There is a part of me that wants to put this in goated because of what it could be, right? If the stars all align and Travis Scott shows up and The Rock shows up and Stone Cold shows up, like everybody's reporting, right? Everybody's reporting all of this stuff happening and stuff, then great. It's a goated match. I think ultimately, I just don't want to get my hopes up. I don't want to get burned. I want to set my expectations accordingly, and that is I want to be excited for this match and I want to be blown away and surprised. If I set it at goated, and it fails to meet that expectation, that's on me. If I just tell you guys I'm excited and then it blows the roof off, then that's like a bonus treat for me at the end of WrestleMania. So right now, here's the problem. If it just ends up being straight up Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, it's going to be a great match, but it's already one of those things I've built too much story inside my head with The Rock, with Travis Scott, with Cody Rhodes, with John Cena. I've got Seth Rollins getting involved. It's my fault. This is of my own doing that this match can't be goated, but I've set the expectations too high that I have to temper myself to put it at excited. So that is my list. You guys, I will drop the link for this tier maker in the description of this video and the breakout for this tier maker. I want to compare notes. I want you guys fill this out, drop it in the Discord, send me a link in the comment section of this video, and let's go over notes and see where you think I'm right and where you think I'm wrong. So CWC, how the hell do you leave Montez Ford off of the WrestleMania card? What is WWE doing? Despite holding the tag team title and being one of the most entertaining acts on SmackDown, the Street Profits have confirmed they have been left off the WrestleMania 41 card. In an interview, they took the high road saying, sometimes you gotta ride the bench. I respect professionalism. I'm glad that they're being the adults in the room, but I'm not going to be the adult. I'm calling complete bullshit on this booking. Montez Ford is an absolute megastar in the making, and WWE just keeps treating him like another guy, and it's insane to me. Question for the comments here is, how is WWE going to keep telling us that WrestleMania is all about building to moments and then skip over the guy who literally has the potential to create the biggest moments every time he's in the ring? It feels redundant to me at this point to keep repeating episode after episode after episode that Montez Ford should be a future world champion. Because the reality is they aren't even viewing him as a singles mid-card champion. And I feel like a broken record. If I was WWE, if I was Triple H, you've already got a couple matches on this card that have been bullshit thrown together. I would have figured out a way. I would have scrapped the idea of doing any tag team title matches, and I would have done the redundant thing that we all hate, but at this point, I feel it's necessary. I would have done War Raiders versus New Day versus Street Profits versus Motor City Machine Guns. No titles on the line, just tag team, just straight tag team wrestling to get these guys on the card. Why the hell did we spend the last 3 months being teased with all of these combinations of the Street Profits, the Motor City Machine Guns, DIY, Pretty Deadly, The Miz and Carmelo Hayes? We've been teased of this SmackDown tag team division, and then to just cast it to the side, to me, is an absolute letdown. And this is no disrespect to the War Raiders, but the reality is they're not going to give you that WrestleMania moment that Montez Ford can give you. Montez Ford is capable of putting highlights on the board. And yeah, we're going to get the patented Ivar backflip that we've seen a million times. But in order to see that, we've got to put the Street Profits on the bench. I just don't agree with that decision. CM Punk just buried AEW again with a pink mask and a pop star. Punk made headlines by hyping pop artist Chappelle Roan. I think I'm saying that right. He said that's someone who should appear in WWE. After her wrestling-inspired Lollapalooza set, it was meant to be a fun nod, but it ended up overshadowing AEW's actual invites to the pop star to come on the show. CM Punk is a mastermind. Like, he knows what he's doing. This guy understands the psychology of the business. He is screwing AEW without even trying at this point. He knows that the IWC can't stand anything mainstream, and WWE this past week has pulled off a PR masterclass by poking every nerve of those basement critics this week. And CM Punk once again figures out just how to, every time AEW tries to turn a spotlight their way, CM Punk and WWE just spin it back to WrestleMania. You guys drop a comment. Do you think CM Punk does this stuff on purpose? Or is it just that easy at this point to outshine AEW because they trip over their own feet? But let's be real. Like, Chappell Roan is everything the IWC hates, right? Flashy, loud, mainstream, popular with normal people. So naturally, she's a perfect fit for WWE and not AEW. AEW would try to take the opportunity to use her as a spotlight, but honestly, the AEW crowd would just turn on her. I think WWE tends to embrace outsiders better than AEW. So CM Punk's just adding fuel to the fire because he knows what he's doing, right? AEW tries to be artsy and inclusive, and they get kind of patted on the back for that kind of stuff. But when WWE does it, the IWC will shit on this and talk about how dumb of an idea it is. But to me, this was more than just like a statement. This was a chess move by CM Punk, and it just showed that CM Punk knows how to play chess, and Tony Khan and AEW and all their superstars, it's like they're playing Uno or something. They don't fully understand the rules of how you get over marketing wise. Last story here. Did Becky Lynch just turn down her WrestleMania match? Reports say that Becky Lynch signed a new WWE deal, but is still off of TV due to creative disagreements. One rumored plan involved a match with Lyra Valkyria at WrestleMania, something Becky reportedly wasn't interested in. So let's be real. I get it. She didn't want to run back the NXT story on the big stage, and now that rumored Rock and Seth Rollins faction isn't sounding so far-fetched anymore. If anything, it might feel a little bit inevitable that Becky Lynch knows her value. She knows what she's worth. She wants to be in the spotlight. And I think the way you bring Becky Lynch back, you put her with The Rock, John Cena, and Seth Rollins, and all of a sudden you've got something that wrestling fans are talking about. But drop a comment if you were Becky Lynch. Would you rather work a WrestleMania match with Lyra Valkyria, or would you wait and hold out to be a Monday surprise to join the biggest faction in all of WWE? Because Becky's not dumb. She knows her value. Becky knows her value. A match with Lyra Valkyria would technically have been fine, and it would have put over someone like Lyra Valkyria. But I think that at this point, Becky's done her service to the younger wrestlers. She's put in her putting over, punch card. I think that aligning with Seth Rollins and The Rock it's legacy defining. This is NWO level stuff. If we end up Monday night after WrestleMania and we look in that ring and there is The Rock, John Cena, Becky Lynch, and Seth Rollins, this is going to set the IWC on fire. It's going to set casual fans on fire. If WWE pulls that level of trigger, because we've been told there are still twists and turns and surprises that we don't see coming. This feels like that level of surprise that could be the boldest thing Becky Lynch has done in wrestling since she had her whole The Man character. This can be the next phase of Becky Lynch. But before we get out of here, I didn't really want to talk about this because I prefer the casual wrestling community conversation, daily show, whatever we call this, to be fun and lighthearted. This is supposed to be something you listen to and you laugh and you get a kick out of the things I say. It's not meant to be deep and informative in different ways. But I felt like this topic kind of hit the internet today, and it's something that I wanted to talk about. And my goal is not to offend anybody. Before I start, it's more to shed light on really what the IWC needs to hear, and that is the formula to being happy as a wrestling fan and just as a natural human being. There has been, and I'm sure everybody's seen it, but there's been a gross overreaction to the news that Roman Reigns voted for President Donald Trump. And let me be clear, to start this off, I don't care who likes Donald Trump. I don't care who doesn't like Donald Trump. That is not the point of this section of this podcast. What I care about is the way the IWC has chosen, because the IWC is the ones losing their shit here. The casual fans probably really don't give a shit. But I don't understand why the IWC can't seem to process the idea that Roman Reigns might have voted differently than them for whatever personal reasons he chose to vote the way he did. And here is the part that confuses me the most, right? Donald Trump won the election. We all know this. He got millions upon millions of votes. Did the IWC just assume that no WWE or AEW wrestlers voted for him? Did they live in a fantasy world where Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Triple H, everybody just voted exactly the way that they look in the mirror and they see themselves? And here's the problem, though. It's not even Roman Reigns. More accurately, this is Joseph Anoa'i, who doesn't share their worldview. And to me, it's almost become earth-shattering. And here's a scary little news flash for the IWC. Wrestling is a mixed bag of personalities, And you would probably be unsettled by how many financially conservative wrestlers there actually are. And for a lot of people, this is the hardest thing for both sides to understand. But a lot of times, money outweighs all of the social issues, especially this time around. But then you have to take into consideration that Roman Reigns is the father of a little girl. And unless you have raised a daughter, I promise you this, I have two of them. Unless you have raised a daughter and they are competitive athletes, some of this trans athlete discourse gets really complicated. It is really scary to fathers who want to see success for their daughters. I'm not saying which side of the fence that most people land on. I'm saying it is just extremely, extremely complicated to sort out where you stand on these issues. And that doesn't make somebody evil. It actually just makes them human, that there's emotions involved in every side of every argument. You have every right in the IWC to not be a fan of Roman Reigns. That is your call. But this weird, obsessive need to immediately discredit him, to paint him as hateful, and assume that he stands for everything that you're afraid of, that's not rational. That's reactionary. And honestly, it's becoming exhausting. I poke fun at the IWC all the time, but a lot of what you guys do is exhausting. And the reason I call myself a casual fan is exactly things like this, where it's Roman Reigns. He's a wrestling character. I don't give a shit what he thinks politically, personally. Anything outside of what he does in the ring does not affect me. And most genuinely happy people share that same feeling. Most genuinely happy people in this world, to be honest with you, fall somewhere in the middle of the political spectrum, and that's just a fact. Maybe some people are financially conservative. I would assume that's a high part of people who are making a lot of money in wrestling, but they're socially liberal. So they agree with a lot of what you agree with, but that's not the most important thing to them. Or it could be the other way around. They could be extremely religious and conservative on the social side, on the social side, but liberal financially. You know, there's all different places you can fall on a political spectrum. But I guarantee you, if you sit on the far ends of that spectrum, you're not going to be happy. There's always going to be something to be angry about. You're always going to be bitter. You're always going to live in outrage. Both sides, conservative, you got the far right side and the far left side. Both sides have the victim complex, and they need to constantly be offended by everything. And this, to me, is just a case of just let it be what it is, and don't be a fan. That's fine, but you don't have to attack. For every Trump is evil person that you hang around and that is in your little echo chamber, on the other side there's someone screaming, Joe Biden destroyed America. And that's just the reality. It's 50-50. Nobody's pure, nobody's perfect. Stop cheering for Roman if that's how you feel. But to be petty and try to discredit him online, that's insane. The need to make this personal and to attack everybody who voted opposite of your beliefs, that is radical. That is the crazy idea. That is what will destroy like things like wrestling that are meant to be fun and are meant to be enjoyed and not meant to be political. This radical idea that either side, right, the conservatives or the Democrats, are out to destroy the country and one side is evil, that's crazy. Your concerns are heard. I understand. Everything that you're saying is acknowledged. You have every right every 4 years to cast your vote and go out and cheer on whoever you want to. But somebody wins. That's our president. And you got to live with it for 4 years. And like Chelsea Green has openly shared strong political opinions. And I don't care either way, right? I don't feel the need to attack Chelsea Green. I don't feel the need to applaud her beliefs because they are Chelsea Green's beliefs. No different than these are Roman Reigns' beliefs. Different values for different people. Nobody is right. Nobody is wrong. We just all are. You have things that mean something to you. And look, I see what's happening here. I see the IWC turning on Roman. And once again, this is the group of people that I have labeled the white knights of the IWC, the ones who need to virtue signal so the rest of the timeline sees how morally righteous they actually are. But let's be real. You motherfuckers that are the white knights, you're still going to watch WrestleMania. You're going to talk shit about Triple H for talking about Donald Trump. You're going to talk shit about Roman Reigns for voting for Donald Trump, but you're still going to watch WrestleMania. You're still going to buy the t-shirts. You'll still buy the belts. You're just being white knights so the rest of the internet can pat you on the back. You'll still pop. When Roman Reigns comes out at WrestleMania and he puts the finger up, everybody's going to put the finger up, and that's the way it should be, to be honest with you. Enjoy wrestling. Don't worry about what these people think outside. This reminds me of an old Dave Chappelle comedy bit about 9/11 where he talked about Ja Rule and how MTV, when 9/11 happened, the MTV was like, well, let's cut to Ja Rule and see what Ja Rule thinks about 9/11. And Dave Chappelle's like, why the hell are we asking Ja? What does Ja Rule know about 9/11? That's how I feel about all of this. Like, if you're looking for your political guidance from Roman Reigns, from the tribal chief, or from Chelsea Green, from wrestling characters, they're not living your life. Don't look for them to make decisions. You make your political decisions. Let them make theirs. They are here to entertain you. That's all they need to do. At the end of the day, it's really this simple. It comes down to this statement. If you liked Roman Reigns yesterday and today you hate him because he doesn't exactly think the way you do, then I'm sorry, you're not a fan of wrestling. You were watching wrestling, searching for a reflection of yourself. And the moment that mirror cracked, you were willing to turn on a fictional character. And I just don't believe that's rational. So grow up, move on, and just enjoy the show. But that's a wrap for today. I told you what I'm excited for this weekend. We learned that the Street Profits are more professional than me, and I set the IWC straight about hypocrisy. Like, subscribe, and let us know what matches you're excited for. New merch is now live on casualwrestling.com. No need to type in store. Just go to casualwrestling.com. It'll take you straight to the merchandise. I am the Notorious D. This was CWCD. Stay loud, stay loyal, stay casual. We could ring the final bell.
Head down, we're ready to rumble. The casual pod don't stumble.